today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these 3 questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women.
Here today. So I want to start today's show with a couple of riddles. Riddle number 1. We need to turn that audio down. So riddle number 1. A gentleman and his son are driving along a highway when they get involved in a terrible 2-car collision. The man dies on the spot, and his son is rushed to the hospital. And when he arrives, they immediately get him into the theater to operate. But just before the operation begins, the surgeon says, "I cannot operate on this boy because he is my son." How is that possible? Now, meanwhile, remember I said it was a 2-car collision. In the second car, the mother dies, and her daughter is rushed to the same hospital, albeit not as badly injured as the boy in the other car. And so as she's rushed into ER, everybody runs towards her to take care of her, and when the nurse who is on duty arrives, the nurse looks at the girl and says, "I can't treat this girl because she is my daughter." How is that possible? Well, if you don't know the answer to those 2 riddles, there's one more riddle I want you to consider. And this one is in the form of our very first clip. So, producer, let's go to clip number 1.
A father is about to bring his son to a job interview, applying for a position at a large stockbrokers company in the city. Just as they arrive at the company's parking lot, the son's phone rings. He looks at his father, who says, "Go ahead, answer it." The caller is the trading company CEO, who says, "Good luck, son, you've got this." The son ends the call and once again looks at his father, who is still next to him in their car. How is this possible?
He gets a call from the CEO, but it says,
"Good luck, son."
But he was next to him.
So it's not the father.
I think it was probably an audio recording of his father.
Maybe he made a demo tape.
Like he has 2 fathers?
This is a hard one.
Maybe it's a word joke, like it's the grandfather of the son. No, I think his name is Son.
I don't know. Maybe it's just like an old man, you know, calling a younger guy son.
I have no idea.
The answer. It's his mother.
Oh, that's so stupid. Yes, of course.
Ah!
I should have thought of that, yes.
The CEO is a woman.
So I'm biased. In a sense. Is this about diversity and inclusion?
That's really mind-blowing, actually.
So I always thought that I'm not very sexist. But in spite of that, I think these subconscious biases are there in everyone's mind.
How much bias I still have in terms of thinking that the CEO needs to be a man.
Yeah, I definitely was picturing a man.
They identify with males more than females these days.
Why can't women also be CEOs or doctors or, right?
When I think about a CEO or someone that's high positioned within a company, I mostly think of man.
And it's a shame, I think.
And that's so weird, because I'm a CEO. And I'm a woman.
But I want to be a CEO. Why didn't I think about that? Crap.
I believe women can absolutely be CEOs.
And that's definitely something that we should work on, especially when you're saying that so many people have been told this riddle and most people haven't gotten it.
Women make great CEOs and great leaders as well. And yet only 5% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. Let's change our mindset.
Okay, so all of those riddles really point to the same direction. And the direction that they point in was pointed out in the clip, which is a hidden bias or an unconscious bias that we have as it relates to a particular gender. So in the first riddle, and I must admit, the first time I heard that riddle many, many years ago, I was stumped. I couldn't figure it out because it just didn't come to me that the surgeon in that particular instance could have been a woman. Just automatically, you assume the surgeon is a man. So how could this be? And you're trying to figure this out in your mind. How is it possible? And then on the flip side, in the second example that I mentioned, where the nurse said, I can't treat this girl because this is my daughter, we just assume that the nurse is a woman. And so again, you're stumped trying to figure out, well, how is it the mother is killed? How is it that the nurse is saying, I can't treat this girl because she's my daughter? Because you don't even imagine that a nurse could be a man. Bias. And in the third example, you saw the people in the video. These are intelligent people. They're not, living under a rock somewhere. One of them was even a female CEO. And she could not figure out the riddle that the CEO in the riddle was a woman. So what does that say to us? It tells us that there are some deeply ingrained biases that society has permeated, has encouraged over the years towards gender, whether it be male or female. Well, today is International Women's Day, in case you didn't know. And it just so happens that the theme of this year's International Women's Day is break the bias. Break the bias. Now, I know a lot of you out there are probably thinking, I'm not biased. And you were probably surprised at yourself if you couldn't figure out that riddle until the answer was given to you. And if you do fall into that category, it just pretty much tells you that you have some hidden biases that you may not have been aware of. And so the whole point of today is for us to discuss how we as a collective can break the bias as it relates to women. And I have some incredible women who have agreed to be a part of the show today, and I'm going to bring them into the conversation as soon as my producer stops talking to that person on the phone, because you got to be the one to bring them up, Jason. Is that a caller for the show? No. Okay. So joining me on the show today are Fontella, Chipman, Rolle, who is a very vocal activist, who's always calling for change, calling for us to change the system, who's very, very vocal and very outspoken as it relates to issues of justice. And also joining us today is Ali McIntosh, a new author. Congratulations, Ali, on your new book. And Ali is the servant leader of the Bahamas Constitution Party. And somebody's not sure who. And so these two ladies agreed to join me today to talk about the bias and how we as a collective can break the bias as it relates to women. So ladies, I don't know where that second audio is coming from. It's still coming from Fontella's phone. Okay, we got to figure that out. Mute your microphone on that. Welcome to you both. And thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of the show today.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Bahamas. Hi, Miss Ali. How are you?
Can we hear Ali?
I am good. Sorry, I was in a mute mode, but I am good. How are you today, Michelle and Fontella?
Excellent.
It's good to be here.
Congratulations on your new book.
Thank you so much. I'm excited about where it will go and how far it will go. How to reconstruct a nation.
Yeah, we're all excited for you.
I wish you all the best with that. So listen, y'all.
Thank you so much.
I don't know about y'all. The very first time I heard the first riddle, I was stumped. I honestly was stumped. This is many years ago. I couldn't figure out if the man died in the accident, how is it that the surgeon said, I can't operate on this boy because he is my son? And it just goes to show that whether we want to admit it or not, we suffer from these biases that really help to impact and shape the way we approach life. The way we approach gender, the way we approach each other is all affected by these deep-rooted biases. And many people don't even realize how biased they are until facing a situation where they have to figure out a riddle like that. Ladies, what are some of the ways that you have experienced bias as it relates to gender?
Anyway,
Michelle,
first of all, let me say
go ahead, Fontella.
First of all, we give thanks to our Holy Spirit for allowing us this opportunity again to sit here with Michelle and to be in front of God's audience. So we thank you, Heavenly Father, for this opportunity that we do not take lightly, and we appreciate it. Today, I am in the presence of great women, and I am thankful again to just be here talking with Michelle in the Bahamas in something that is so important, not only in our country, but all over the world in terms of the place. This is how I refer to it sometimes, place of a woman. Because we have been, just like Michelle said, and when I listened to those riddles, Michelle, I thought the same thing. I thought it had to be a man or it had to be a woman. So you're right. It's so ingrained in us that we automatically assume that our position is that of less, right, as a woman. But I think it's further deeply rooted than just with us. I think it's generational. We have been conditioned to this, where the woman place is. So again, our mothers have taught it to us. We have taught it to our children. And of course, if we don't have those women, great women who are challenged or who dare to break the glass ceilings, then we continue the same program over and over. So as it has been conditioned to us, to change that now, we have to start changing what it is we say, what it is we do, and actually figuring out how we're going to put that in progress. We always say we need to do this, we need to do that. But the mindset has been set, so it's impossible now for us to say, just change it. We have to get down to our young children and kind of rebuild the system all over again. And it's up to great women like yourself, Miss Ali, other great women in this country to start being very vocal to our young children. See how we can infiltrate their minds, our young women, to believe that it's possible for women to do great things. There is not, we don't want to be in a place anymore. We want to create a special place, because we have had great women. In our country, in our politics, we've had great women that have held great positions. Now what we need are women who are not afraid to take on the system in terms of what we know it to be.
Mm-hmm.
We need those persons, those women, to step outside of that now and step outside of that place and create this special place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ali, you started to say something? You're muted again.
Thank you. I wanted to first thank Fontella for that prayer. I've been trying to get myself ingrained with what we are going to talk about, because it is important that when we come on a show like this, the responsibility of the media, as we know, what we say and influence the people is very important. But what I wanted to say in regards to that is that how we socialize our children and how we focus them in developing themselves is based on how the world will turn out. So what happens in the world starts in the home. So our children has to know, and I grew up with a mother who pushed us that we can be anything we wanted to be. Although she was not a formal educator, she was an educator in the sense that not only did she put a library in our house and bought books for us, she made us read every day, but she also focused us on becoming something wonderful, and whatever we strive to be, that we can become that. Sometimes our children are given only certain roles that they can have. I mean, even we see not only the gender bias, where people say, well, we just want our children to be a doctor or an accountant. But if they only do that, who is going to be the plumbers, and who is going to be the carpenters, and who's going to be the truck drivers? So we in the very infant stages of training and socializing our children has to determine what kind of bias we are going to put in our children. I believe, Michelle, that is where we have come in the Bahamas, and the Bahamas, well, throughout the world, always do the very same thing, that boys can only do certain things and girls can only do certain things. And we have to some degree get away from that, so we can allow our children to take wings and do what it is that their heart is telling them to do, and what God has put in their heart to become in terms of their gift.
Listen, I am so, you're both right, and I am just so tired. It's exhausting to deal with people who have attitude that, because you were born female, then you just know your place. You don't have the right to think beyond your place. It is exhausting. But yet you are right. It starts in the home. That they say that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. It starts in the home. What are you teaching your children that is normal for a girl to be or aspire to compared to a boy? And it's so deeply ingrained. I want to read a comment from one of our Facebook viewers. And Timothy says in this comment, gonna be one of those female shows. Now, Timothy, with all respect, I don't know if that was written as condescendingly as it sounds as I read it. But if you were in fact being condescending when you wrote that, I want to tell you, Timothy, with all due respect, have several seats. Because it is the caveman mentality that continues to hold this country back. Think about this. And if that's not what you meant, I apologize. But that's how it reads. I want you to imagine this. You have a whole population of females who each have a particular skill that was given to them by God, a particular gift that was given to them by God that could impact positively our communities, our nation, our region, our world. But because they were not born male, those particular skills and gifts and talents are to a certain degree. In some countries more than others, because they were born female. So how is it beneficial to your nation? How is it beneficial to your community? How is it beneficial to your region, to your world, to your life? If more than half of the population who has a gift that was given by God to bless you are being stifled because of the male. It does not make sense to me. And it's tiring. I get so tired of this. But yet this is where we are. And, for some reason, I think that sometimes, I believe sometimes men feel threatened when they hear a woman talk about taking her rightful place or playing a greater role. It's almost that, well, if we allow you to excel, then it's going to hold us back or hold us down or push us back, where nothing could be further from the truth.
I agree.
I don't know about y'all, but I get tired. I really get tired.
Michelle.
Go ahead.
If I may, what is happening, and everybody know the fact that I've been a political leader for quite some years. People have a problem to say, you mean you've been there that long, 20 years? So Lyndon was the leader of the party for more than 25 years. But there's nothing wrong with a man being the leader of a party for 20 years. But because I am a female, they figure I've been here too long. I think it's very important that people understand, as we push for the inclusion of more women in leadership, it is not just about women taking over, but for women having their quote, not even quota, I don't like necessarily use that word, but having the opportunity to give their gifts that has been given by God. Women can lead, women can be engineers, women can be NASA scientists, women can be biologist, the chemist, as you say, and with the riddle, people just figure when you say some of these things, oh no, that can't be a woman. When you're talking about pursuing the leadership of a nation, people say that can't be a woman. They always assume that the woman can't do the work, but the work is set for the person that God gives the gift to. I'm just saying this.
Exactly.
I have a niece who was an engineer. And she's the top of her field, and she was the manager of all the other engineers where she worked. So it is important. It is important that men know we are not trying to take their space. We are just trying to take our space. And our space has been put there. God would not give you the gift to be a powerful broadcaster, Michelle, if he didn't want you on the radio. So when people are saying you shouldn't be here, it is because they are not prepared to allow the gift that God has given you to be displayed to the world and cause the community to be empowered by it.
And to benefit them. That's the thing.
Well, so often, ladies, I do believe that when I hear comments like what the gentleman made, I'm almost sympathetic, because I understand that they themselves do not know what they do. I always make that statement, they know not what they do. Because if this is all we know, if this what we have been conditioned to and we know, then this is what we expect. It will only be those ones who want different and see different that will experience the difference, eh? Even in your line of work, Michelle, I know that you've seen biases everywhere across the scope. But when you look behind the scenes of these great companies, these great industries, you are finding out that women literally run these organizations behind the scene. They are the strength, they are the power, they are the vision behind these organizations. And it's because of course, our history and generation that we have been taught that women can't do these things. We are kept in the back. So now it's up to us, because I'm going to tell you, I had parents also who told me I could be and do anything, but there was still a fear. There was still this fear that I can't do it, even though they pushed and instilled in me that, Fontella, go and get my mother was, she's very avid about us getting our education, our college degree, and you can do anything you wanted to do and be. But guess what? Once I was placed in that position, my own mental capacity in terms of what a woman should do held me back.
Wow.
So, and this is what we're dealing with. We know that we have the education, we have the intellect, we have the ability, but yet something that has kept us back for these years or this long in history has kept us to this point, this glass ceiling that we can't seem to break through. And it's not, I mean, it's mental. It's mental, because we know we're capable. I mean, I worked in an offshore bank and my boss literally ran that bank like a snap of her finger. And I thought she should be the owner of this bank. This woman was so incredible, so knowledgeable. I mean, the best teacher. But yet we are at this point that we just can't seem to get past. And I think it's mental for us. And in terms of our country, it's the same thing worldwide, right? But even in our country per se, we're not at that point that we should be, because when we look around, we had women who were the Speaker of the House, we had women in great positions in education. They were there. Now, what stops them? What stops them from being in the biggest position in our country, like Ms. Ali said, the Prime Minister of our country? What stops us from getting there? Is it this wall of men who assume that we're supposed to be there, or is it that our fear of knowing that people won't look at us the same in terms of what we can do and our ability, because of how we were judged before or how we have judged ourselves? So again, I want us to step back and always look at the bigger picture. For me, I say, you know what? Is it possible for that to happen? Is it the time for that? Because these years of being ingrained that women were supposed to hold certain positions, it's not going to change overnight. It cannot. What took generations to build up, it's going to take generations to break down.
This is true.
So we need to start now by empowering our young women, opening doors for them. Women who are in positions need to start opening doors for women, our young ladies who are coming up. I do that on a daily basis. I push them and tell them, you can be this. But what is stopping them, Michelle?
Well,
their own fears.
Here's the thing. You cannot fix what you do not acknowledge.
Yes.
A big part of the problem is the fact that many people will not acknowledge their bias.
Right.
So on the other side of the break, we're going to talk about the history behind International Women's Day and what this theme, break the bias, really means. You're going to hear from the United Nations on the other side of the break. Stay with us. This is GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rim fence and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
And welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company. And my guests today are new author Ali McIntosh and Fontella Chipman Rolle. We're here on this occasion of International Women's Day 2022, and we're talking about Break the Bias, which is the theme of this year's International Women's Day. So, the theme of International Women's Day, though comparatively short, is a bold and is as bold and brilliant as the founders themselves. So long before the feminist movement of the 1960s, International Women's Day genesis goes back to February 28, 1909 in New York, USA, with a prophetic focus on women's rights, known originally as National Women's Day. It was first proposed by Teresa Malkiel and loosely based on the urban legend commemorating a protest by women garment workers in New York City in 1857. Inspired by Malkiel and other American activists, German socialists Louise Zietz, I hope I pronounced that right, suggested there be an annual Women's Day, which was quickly seconded by her sister, activist Clara Zetkin, and supported by Kate Dunkner, and 100 women delegates from 17 countries agreed with the suggestion as a means to continue promoting the rights of women, including suffrage or the right to vote. On March of 1911, International Women's Day was officially marked for the very first time, and more than 1 million people celebrated in Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland. Women demanded the right to vote and to fight against sex discrimination in the workplace and to hold public office. And then in 1913, International Women's Day was recognized in Russia for the first time, where it catapulted to become part of what led to the Russian Revolution in 1917. At that time in St. Petersburg, women went on strike for bread and peace, demanding the end to World War I, Tsarism, and the shortage of food in Russia. That day was March 8th. And though ordered back to work the next day, workers walked out of the factories, leading to mass strikes and the abdication of Nicholas II just 7 days later, resulting in Russian women being given the right to vote. In further recognition of the role Russian women played in defense of their fatherland and their heroism and selflessness, International Women's Day was declared a non-working holiday. So let's come forward a bit. In 1967, the notion of women's rights was taken up by the next generation of who called for equal pay, equal economic opportunity, equal legal rights, reproductive rights, subsidized child care, and the prevention of violence against women. And the United Nations began celebrating the International Women's Day in 1975, which was declared International Women's Year. In 1977, the UN invited members to proclaim March 8th as the UN Day for Women's Rights and World Peace. International Women's Day continues to be celebrated worldwide every year on March 8th. Let's go to clip number 2 as we hear this message from the UN.
On International Women's Day, we celebrate women and girls everywhere. We celebrate their contributions to ending the COVID-19 pandemic. Their ideas, innovations, and activism that are changing our world for the better, and their leadership across. On International Women's Day, we celebrate women and girls everywhere. We celebrate their contributions to ending the COVID-19 pandemic. Their ideas, innovations, and activism that are changing our world for the better, and their leadership across all walks of life. But we also recognize that in too many areas, the clock on women's rights is moving backwards. The pandemic has kept girls and women out of schools and workplaces. They face rising poverty and rising violence. They do the vast majority of the world's unpaid but essential care work. They are targets of violence and abuse just because of their gender. In all countries, women are scandalously underrepresented in the halls of power and the boardrooms of business. And as this year theme reminds us, they bear the brunt of climate change and environmental degradation. Starting now on International Women's Day, it's time to turn the clock forward for every woman and girl. Through guaranteeing quality education for every girl, so they can build the lives they want and help make the world a better place for us all. Through massive investments in women's training and decent work. Through effective action to end gender-based violence. Through bold action to protect our planet. Through universal care that is fully integrated into social protection systems. And through targeted measures like gender quotas, so we can all benefit from women's ideas, experience, and leadership everywhere decisions are made. Gender inequality is essentially a question of power in a male-dominated world and a male-dominated culture. And power relations must be reversed. So, at the United Nations, we have achieved gender parity in senior management at headquarters and around the world. Improving our work and better representing the communities we serve.
Today, human rights that are coming from individuals.
We need as opposed to you trying to play it from your computer, because I think the information is vital enough that it needs to truly be heard. So I don't know, maybe we'll have the same problem on my laptop, seeing that I'm using the same internet source as you are, but let's give it one more go. I will try to play it from my end, so let's see what happens.
On
here.
International Women's Day, we celebrate women and girls everywhere. We celebrate their contributions to ending the COVID-19 pandemic. Their ideas, innovations, and activism that are changing our world for the better, and their leadership across all walks of life. But we also recognize that in too many areas, the clock on women's rights is moving backwards. The pandemic has kept girls and women out of schools and workplaces. They face rising poverty and rising violence. They do the vast majority of the world's unpaid but essential care work. They are targets of violence and abuse just because of their gender. In all countries, women are scandalously underrepresented in the halls of power and the boardrooms of business. And as this year team
apologize that we're having a difficult time with that video. I don't know, because it was freezing in different places. I don't think it's the video itself. The system somehow is not working. But one of the things that he pointed out was that in many ways and in many countries, it seems that as opposed to making progress, we're going backward when it comes to gender biases and violence against women, etc. I was really disturbed to hear, in case you say, oh, that's someplace else in the world. I was really disturbed to hear. I was at a function this weekend, and we were talking about all these social issues that we have in this country, and I was really disturbed to hear about a case here in the Bahamas where a 16-year-old was sold, trafficked by a family friend who took money from a man unknowingly to he was not a willing partner in this. And the family friend, who the young lady referred to as auntie, receives money from this man so that he can have sexual relations with this girl. He rapes the girl because she was obviously not a willing partner. And then that was not enough. He takes her to a house where two other men are and said, I've already paid for this. And I was appalled to learn that the family friend, the auntie, only got 3 years probation for her role in that. What kind of sick society do we live in where you are going to violate a 16-year-old girl and all you get is a slap on the wrist? It reminds me of the case of the bus driver who who decided to put his hand under the dress under the skirt of a 14-year-old girl. And his punishment, a $250 fine. We cannot be serious. What kind of message are we sending to girls and women in this country about your value or lack thereof? Ladies, y'all jump in here, because I was really livid when I learned about it. I was like, you got to be kidding. This ain't somewhere around the world, y'all. Right in this Bahamas. So I don't want y'all to look the other way and say, oh, that's not a problem here. Because this society is notorious for its caveman mentality attitude towards women and girls in this country. And we cannot fix what we refuse to acknowledge. So the first step in this, trying to fix this problem, is acknowledging that we have a problem. Ladies, y'all jump in here, please. What are your thoughts?
I really think, if I may, Michelle, the level of double standard in this country is totally ridiculous. And that's why for the last 35 years, I've had a concern. And my concern has always been, why in any bill, after we have said the different elements of the bill, we take it back to the point of where the minister has some level of discretion or has the discretion. Now, 35 years ago, you met me at the Parliament when you came in as a young reporter. I always said when you and Chrissy Love came into the Parliament, we came into a place where legislation is taking place. And from that point to this, I am always still concerned. Let the legislation have the enforceability, has the teeth to do what has to be done. So judges cannot do activism and just use their discretion. Because even when judges use their discretion, and then some judges aren't going to use the big a discretion to give somebody a second chance. Some judges is just going to say, that's my cousin's son, or that's so-and-so daughter, or the politician have called me, so I'm going to make this decision based on that. So that's my basic concern and basic desire, that we must always have the legislation strong enough to do the work, that these things cannot happen, but the book or the law must come down, not just on the person because they need mercy, but because they deserve justice in regards to the situation.
Wow. For me, I must agree with Ms. Alice. You know, she's so good. The laws. I totally agree with her, because we live in such a small society. Almost just like you said, she trusted Auntie, someone she knew, someone she trusted, but not knowing what was going on around her. And our society is so small; everybody knows everyone. And I remember doing a show talking about the Me Too movement, talking about things that are happening to all of our girls and young ladies around this country, but everyone is afraid to talk about it. We don't acknowledge what's going on, so therefore it's not happening. We don't want to bring it to light because of who we will offend. It doesn't matter now that the fact that the crime that is being committed needs to be, the person needs to be, reprimanded or jailed for it. No, because we can't do that to uncle. We can't do that to daddy. We can't do that to someone we know as our family. But when are we going to look at the actual crime that has been committed against our children on a daily basis? Everyone has that responsibility to pay attention, to see what's going on, to report it. But yet we refuse to do it. And once we do not acknowledge, it continues. Then here we go, and we wonder why our women, who we have told that they can be and do anything, there is a fear, the fear that they won't be believed, the fear that, how can you tell me I can be anything, and then I'm being told something completely different on the other end?
Shown something completely different.
Shown something completely different on the other end. Mixed messages. So our children grow up confused, not understanding their place. And when we see things, how they react or how they're acting out, we want to question. We have to question ourselves. Yes, us, the adults, in understanding what is going on in our society at large, understanding that we will be the change to remove what has kept us back for our children. And that's what we can't seem to understand. We don't want to be uncomfortable, to shift, to address the issues that are going to change our families, that are going to change our homes, that are going to change in the long run, change our country. When are we, as Bahamians, as Bahamian women, because I'm going to tell you, Michelle, and Bahamian woman is strong. We run our families on a daily, so it really blows my mind why people don't believe that we are capable of running a country. We, like the gentleman said in the UN address before it got cut off, women bear the brunt, whether it is positive for our families or negative. If it's a good thing, the women are strong. They teach it to their children. They motivate their children. Their homes are happy. When it's pressure and the woman is under pressure, she can't find money to feed our kids. Things just seem to go just crazy. The woman takes it on and she feels it because she has the responsibility of her children and her family. This is why we have to make sure that our women and our young girls understand their power, the power within them to change any situation, because we are the ones who are out there, like I mentioned, crying for our kids when they are jailed, crying for our kids when they're sick. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there are not good fathers out there. But statistic tells us that we have single parents, and for more than one child, you have 2 and 3 children. That single mothers are out there trying to make a living. They're out of the homes. The children are growing up themselves, getting into mischief. It's difficult for the woman in this country, around the world, because it's happening everywhere.
We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Madam Malcolm, how are you?
Great, how are you?
I want to salute you and all the beautiful Bahamian women, sisters. I want to wish them well. And I have 2 beautiful daughters. I don't have any sons. So I want to say happy National Women's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Being a grandfather, I'm getting old, 5. I am confused. Madam Malcolm, I know that you are qualified to help me. I am a traditionalist.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in it. I will not digress from it. I am of the belief that there is a conspiracy to liberalize the traditional values that this country is built on. Let me tell you what I mean, and I know you know what I mean. How do we expect to get excellence when this country that I grew up in, close to 70 now, don't believe in the traditional family structure, and we still want excellence from our society, our children, when we see double standard, persons who want to offer themselves in public life, you're not seeing the example of what the traditional family is all about. Parliamentarians, etc., school teachers, etc. I know when I was a boy in Exuma, you had to have that family, that traditional family. Madam Malcolm, I think Dr. Miles Monroe was your mentor spiritually.
He was.
The principle of God will never change. And this liberalization that we are trying to execute in the world, I will not change my message. The traditional family is the lifeblood of God. Explain to me, how can we place the traditional family structure and get civil children, civilized civil society, and get excellent? Explain that for me. I'll hang up and listen.
I don't think that, thank you for calling. I don't think that anyone on this panel today is suggesting that we do away with the traditional family structure. That is not what we're talking about here today. But what, and I'm glad you brought up Pastor Miles. I want to read something from him. Somebody sent this to me today, and I was going to do it a little late in the show, but, no time like the present. This is a quote from Dr. Miles Monroe. Equal but different. Males and females are equal but different because of purpose. God created men and women not to compete, but complete each other. Mm-hmm. What society and culture has done is to take the intrinsic differences between males and females, distort them, and use them to devalue women. God made the woman with worth, dignity, purpose, and skill. That is what we are talking about here today. And I think a big problem is that, and I sort of alluded to this earlier, is that there are some who believe that to acknowledge that women were created with worth, dignity, purpose, and skill is to somehow diminish the role of the man. Nothing could be further from the truth. So no one here, sir, is suggesting that we do away with the family structure. And I agree with you. I think that is a major part of why we see so many social ills in our country today, because of the degradation of the traditional family structure. But having a traditional family does not mean that you cannot acknowledge the contribution that women should and could be making if they were not being devalued because you, and I'm not meaning you specifically, I'm you in general, because you believe that it is not their place. This is what we're talking about today. We're talking about break bias. And here's my thing. This is what people need to understand, because we like to talk a lot about the traditional family structure. And I said to one caller one time ago, a couple of days ago, that they seem to be stuck in the Leave It to Beaver, Ozzie and Harriet mode. But here's the thing. You could look at that show and think, now this is the way it's supposed to be. The man goes, earns the living, and he brings it home, and the woman takes care of the family. Okay, fine. But y'all ain't noticed Harriet ain't had to work. Harriet could afford to be glamorous all day, and because all she had to do was run the home and take care of the kids and make sure the meal was hot when he come home. Because that was her job. Nowadays, She out there working just as hard as you. So if it is her role to take care of the home, what's your role? That means you falling down on the job. If she gotta go out and work just as hard as you.
And come home
and deal with the children and put on the pearls and look nice. We got a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Madam Malcolm, well respected of you. I like having a conversation with you. And I basically, like I said, I am still confused.
Okay.
Like I alluded earlier that I have two beautiful daughters, beautiful mom and sisters. We both agree on the traditional family. I will not go there anymore with you because you totally agree.
I absolutely agree.
I have a problem with persons offering themselves to pubs and don't live is not an example for that. I have a serious problem with that. But let's move on. Madam Malcolm, I still confused.
Okay.
I love my beautiful daughters. And I send them to school and they have fell and they give me some beautiful grand. I can celebrate. I am not ashamed to say that I am the proud grandfather of 5. I am still confused as to the bias. You ran the other day, and I think what I am observing, the bias is among women.
It's deeper than that.
Could I ask a question while this gentleman is on there?
The bias is women among women. Because let me say this, and you know what it is? Jealousy among women and women, because they can't get it. They will not see Mr. Malcolm in that position.
I want Ali to respond to that.
I want to finish. I want to hang up, and I will respond.
Okay.
No, I want him to stay on the line.
I don't believe in family value structure. I can vote for you. I don't support. If you don't have that, don't even ask me to vote. Don't
Let
even
him
ask
stay on
my
the line.
grandchildren to vote. Let me say this. I see Dame Ivy Dumont arise to the occasion, and she served. I see Doris Johnson, who was the first woman,
President of the
senator.
Senate.
I see there is no obstacle in this country that I see that woman can accomplish.
Would you vote for a female prime minister in the Bahamas?
No. Not if you don't believe.
Why you say there no obstacle?
Let me say it. Madam Malcolm, I want to be honest to you. I respect you. I respect you well enough. This is why I listen to your show. If anyone who come and asks me to vote for them, and the first I'm going to ask, do you believe in the traditional family structure? One.
We get this.
2. And number 2, do you believe in the traditional family values?
We get that.
And if you tell me no, don't fool me.
Okay.
Everyone
Let me ask you something.
Let me finish my point.
Go ahead.
We have women sell in this country to the highest position.
No, we don't, because we've never had a female prime minister.
But I'm saying to you, Malcolm, one vote for you. You know it. People vote in this country for you if they like you.
You ducking and dodging.
You agree with that?
Question. You are ducking and dodging around.
I won't do that to my sister.
My question.
You believe I duck and dodge?
Let me ask you a question.
No, listen to me. Do you believe I duck and dodge?
Yes.
Listen to me.
Let me
Do you agree? Do you agree that people vote for you if they like you?
Let me ask him a question too.
Go ahead.
I can let you jump in, Ali, but I want a piece of this first. You just said if you wouldn't vote for a female prime minister. Let me ask you. Now hold on. Let me ask you this question.
Go ahead.
If you have 2 candidates standing in front of you,
right?
One is a male, one is a female. They both believe in traditional family values. They both are equally qualified as it relates to what is on paper.
Okay.
Same education, same advocacy. Everything is the same. The only difference between candidate A and candidate B is one has a penis and one has a vagina. Who you voting for?
I'll decide that later.
No.
Well, listen to me. Okay, let me say this. Okay, let me say this, madam. Answer it. This country, you have to agree. You serve, you run, you was offered.
Answer my question.
Okay, I will, madam. Madam, I will.
Okay.
Let me answer this. Listen, there are persons who run, and I believe, like the Kamalafi woman. The Kamalafi, right? She was the leader of the DNA.
Right.
Yes. That's a well-qualified and educated woman. Now listen again. Listen to me.
I listen.
This country is like America. If you're not red, if you're not good, it's a no.
You dancing around the mulberry bush.
What am I doing this? You know that's a fact.
Why you dancing?
Do you know? Do you know?
Yet.
Yeah, you agree with that?
Answer my question, though.
Do you agree with that, though? You are red, and you only can become one female minister if you want a red ticket or yellow or gold ticket.
Okay.
So you agree with that, though?
So let me add.
Do you agree with that?
Let me add to my.
Okay.
Okay. Same qualification, including what color they represent. Now they ain't green.
Okay. Let's red and yellow.
Who you can vote for?
Red and yellow.
Oh,
if the person has become successful in that particular party, the red and gold, or the red and yellow, or whatever we call it, I might consider if it's a female. But this country is like America, Democratic or Republican.
We're talking about politics, and I don't want you to try to change this conversation to be about politics.
Okay, sister, go ahead.
This ain't got nothing to do with politics.
Go ahead.
I asked you a very simple question. You have two people standing in front of you. Same qualifications.
Right.
Same.
And believe in the traditional family structure.
And believe in all what you believe in.
And they decide to be one red and one yellow.
It don't matter the color to me.
Well,
they a part
of the. It do matter the color.
They part of whatever party you.
No, it do matter the color.
They part of whatever party you support. Whatever party you support, they both are part of that.
No, the red and the yellow is the color of the country.
So pick one, red or yellow, whatever color you support.
Right.
This is who they represent.
Right.
Who you voting for?
Listen to me.
Man, look here.
He's convoluting the idea.
The red or the yellow. If the leader is the red or the yellow, and she could give me enough of that. Number one, going back to the traditional family structure.
We didn't cover that.
Okay. Other than that,
I believe he has a point. I believe he has a point he wants to represent, but he doesn't want to say it.
The epitome of bias. Okay. Let's hear from. We have another caller, but let's hear from Ali. Let's hear from Ali, and then we're going to go to the next caller. Go ahead, Ali.
I do believe that the caller wants to make a point, but he doesn't really want to say it, and he believes he'll offend someone. I believe he's making this point about family values. All of us women on this show believe in traditional family values. Not the point that we are not married, it means we do not believe in traditional family values. We are all women. We will all be married if we were married to a man. I believe that with all three of us, every one of us. The fact that we are not married, it doesn't mean we should not go forward. And it should not be that your point is that whether we believe in family values. Because not that I'm not married, it means I do not believe in a family. And I know you want to get to that point, but he doesn't want to say that. I have a mother. I have a father. I was brought up by two children. I have sisters and brothers. I've always wanted to be married, and I still want to be married. So when you're talking about family values, say what you mean, because you have men who have been elected in the Parliament of the Bahamas, who are homosexuals, who are in relationship with other men. No, I'm saying that because he wants this point. He wants this point to be, he has gone off on the other side.
What their family values were. No,
yeah.
I hear nobody asking what their family values are.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to the next caller. Caller, welcome to GBS.
Good afternoon, Ms. Malcolm and your guest.
How you doing?
It looks like I need to bring one bucket of kitty weed with some ice in it. Over here. But listen, see, let me make it quick because I have my cell phone. Where the PDMs go wrong, they old school. Yes, I believe in the Creator. Yes, I believe Christ is the head of the church. Yes, I believe the man is the head of his home. I think this is where they get mixed up. They equate the head of the home with a fully qualified woman going out there. She can become a bus driver once she's qualified. She can become a waiter, waitress, a singer. She can become a prime minister, a politician once she is qualified. That is where they're getting wrong. They configure a job with the leader who leads the home. That is where most of the Christians go wrong. There is nothing wrong with a man or a woman qualifying themselves and going out there vying for a top position in society. But like I say, I want to reiterate, I believe Jesus is the head of the church.
Absolutely.
The man is the head of his family.
And the woman is the neck.
And the woman, she is just as equal as him, basically outside of the home, because she could run for prime minister, like you say. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a job. A prime minister is a job.
That's all.
That's what it is.
It's a job. Just a job.
That is where they go.
But see, all of this points back to the point that I was trying to make. We cannot fix what we do not acknowledge. If you don't want to begin by acknowledging your bias, how are we gonna fix this problem?
You can't. You the people like them, you ain't never fix it. You can never get down from Jerusalem, and they ain't gonna accept. Because like I said just now, yes, she probably more qualified than her husband in the home. But when she gets home, she take off her shoes and she do what she have to do, and she allow him basically to be the quote unquote the boss. But when she comes out of there, everybody won't bash her. And she's highly qualified. She took the time, she went to school, and do what they do. And when she said, I want to be prime minister, people like Brother Peter, they knock her head right off.
Right, I tell you.
They understand it anyway. Thanks for it.
Thank you so much for calling, eh?
I want to speak to the last caller. And sometimes we need to put ourselves in that position. So he said he had 2 beautiful daughters and he had granddaughters. If your daughter or your granddaughter was the head of your yellow party, the qualifications, everything lines up with what you believe, the traditional family, she was the most qualified, with even more qualification than her adversary. Who would you choose? You could not outright say that you will choose the woman because she was more qualified. Now, he kept alluding to the fact that you had to be liked. It doesn't matter whether he or she is liked. Would you choose the woman for that position because she is just as qualified as her male counterpart? And his mentality is really, I'm telling you, the general consensus of our public and what holds us back.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He's not alone.
No, he is not alone, and adamant and resolute in his mindset. See, this is what we have to start breaking down, these barriers. Your last caller just spoke to the fact in reference to how we sometimes confuse the woman's place in the home, and how sometimes because she's qualified out there, when she comes home, of course, we know, and when we say, I even hate to use the word no opposition, we know that we are here for as a helpmate. The Bible speaks of it. We're not here to compete with each other, like Dr. Miles Monroe says. We're here to complete, but yet we are continuing to fight just to prove that we are here. Let us help you. We are continuing to fight, make us felt, to be known that we are here to do and work for the benefit of our homes, of our families, of our countries, and we are more than capable. But it's the mindset of those callers, the caller before, that does not even open up the discussion for that to be possible. How do we do it? Like I said to you, Michelle, on the break, every year we're back to this point on International Women's Day, and we're saying the same thing.
We have to take a break, but we're going to talk about solutions on the other side of the break. Because we listen, y'all, I'm tired. This conversation is old. Like when are we going to do? I late last night I read where, and I got a break right now. I hear music. I read where they finally passed legislation in America to outlaw lynching in 2022. Now, some of y'all listening to this conversation would say, oh my God, that's deplorable. Oh my God, why did it take so long? But y'all right there stuck in the same caveman mentality.
Same thing.
Where you believe women don't have a place. You as bad as all of those spineless legislators who refuse the right thing all of these years.
Yes,
and take you till 2022 to say lynching is a federal crime. My God. What is it going to take? We got to go to a break, y'all. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. And yeah, I think the man better bring the ice water for you. Stay with us. This is GPS. We'll be back after these words from sponsors.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company, and my guests today are Fontella, Chipman, Rolle, and Ali McIntosh. We're talking about International Women's Day, and the theme of this International Women's Day is break the bias. And as we're discussing, a part of the problem that we have is that a lot of people don't even want to acknowledge their bias, don't even realize that they have a bias, and you cannot fix what you do not acknowledge. And in this show, we are going to talk about what we need to do to fix this, but we do have a caller on the line. Yeah? Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
Hi.
To you and your guests. Okay,
Yeah.
just like how you were saying, right? We have to acknowledge, before we can change anything, we have to acknowledge the fact.
Mm-hmm.
The fact is, the female is the largest voting base
That's right.
in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
So, now, without the numbers directly at hand right now to look, right? I personally feel as if the females had band together and decide to give the females the opportunity, we would have had more females in the House, including maybe even the first female prime minister.
Can I go a little further, sir?
Yes,
Why
ma'am,
do
go
you
ahead.
why do you think that is? Why do you think that females vote against themselves?
Why I think that is?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I honestly cannot. A female will have to tell you that, madam. I can't tell you that.
Well, here's what I believe. I believe that a part of the problem is socialization. A part of the problem is that from the time we come out of the womb, we are conditioned to believe that women, and this is conditioning from our mothers and our fathers and society as a whole. We are conditioned to believe that it's only so much a woman is supposed to aspire to be and to do.
Hold on. Yeah, maybe in the 1920s.
That's still happening now.
No,
Fontella just made a
Still
really
not.
good point during the commercial break. I want you to make that point, Fontella, while this caller's on the phone. Go ahead and make the point.
I think you mean when I spoke in reference to the gentleman who had called
Yes,
in.
yes.
And to think that he is still of this mentality. And what he does now is teach that.
Whether consciously or
That's
subconsciously.
right. To male children.
And female.
Or family.
And female.
And female.
Yeah.
And so what happens now, the circle continues, right? They continue. And so here we are, we say we're fighting against one another. We're fighting against ourselves because to open up and understand that there is something else going on that we need to be a part of in a positive way, inspiring our women, inspiring our young men to understand where we are women in society. So when we have this mentality, like our caller did, that we, he wouldn't vote for a woman prime minister or where we should be in our place, that there learned behavior now that goes on to our children and the circle continues. So you say it way again, that happens today.
And guess what, sir? This isn't just speaking of what is happening in the Bahamas. Those riddles were actually a part of a research project by Boston University. And what they concluded was that in order to break this cycle, it is going to take what they call eternal vigilance. They say it's the only solution because it can only change over time, but the pace is glacial. In other words, it's taken so long because people are so ingrained in this way of thinking and not in many cases don't even realize that they have the bias.
Okay, if I may.
Yes.
Okay, I'm listening to you, right? I'm hearing all of these. Okay, we had 2 referendums in our country. I'm worrying about America and these other locations. We had 2 referendums, in most cases, talking about equality, right?
Yes.
Now, I go back to my original point. The majority of the vote base is the females in our country. And there were 2 referendums, and both of them failed with the masses voting against it.
Yes.
So the thing is, I feel as if we don't have an ideology when it comes to males and females. I think we just have an ideology in society that people want to be given things. They don't want to earn it or take it. They want it to be given.
So
they
what
want
does
the
that
politicians to go to the House and to change these bills because the referendums was there for us to vote on. And the masses, which is the females, voted against the exact same things that was set to say make you equal when it comes to birthright.
But they didn't, here's the sad thing. They didn't just wake up today and decide I'm voting against this. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have made wiser decisions. And Ali, I can let you jump in right now. But don't forget now, there was this political football being played where it was all this narrative was created to convince the women that actually not good for them. They didn't just wake up today and say, okay, I can vote against myself.
No, but that's what I'm saying. We don't have so my viewpoint is not necessarily a female or a male thing. It's a society issue whereby we don't want to take issues, analyze the issues, and see the benefit for us as Bahamians, and then vote along those lines. We want individuals to come with a narrative and to tell us, no, do this, no, don't do this. So it is not myopic to say, okay, we're negative towards or back towards. Now, to hit the point, because I was listening earlier, right? Now, with the example that Madam Michelle, which you used, it was a little, I would say, it's a difficult example to try to use.
Why?
Because that example can only be used at an organizational level, such as they selecting their leaders, their chairmen, their executive board. Then you could say, well, male and female have the same qualifications, and they're trying to be the leader of either the yellow or red. And then you find out that organization choose to vote along sexist lines. But now when you come to the national stage, because when you look at constituencies, very few constituencies had only females against each other. Then you can be like, okay, let me use that example to say, who would I vote for? But once it's a male or female or male and male, person's just going to vote strictly along party lines. Say one but your qualifications. And if I don't like you, I ain't voting for you.
I hear you.
Okay, madam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, too.
To say something.
Oh, you're
Ali, can you
sorry
hear?
about that. Yeah, I can hear you. I can
go
hear you now. Yeah, what I have always emphasized on, I consider myself a constitutionalist in that I believe in constitutional law. I believe in constitutional government. I always speak, and for the last 20-something years since I became very much aware about the Constitution, is that the rule of law is important in anything that we do. When we understand the rule of law, we must understand that government must commit to the rule of law as well as a society must commit to the rule of law. And when government commit to the rule of law, they commit that they will make good laws, institutions, and processes so that justice will be available for all. We come to the point of this talk about gender bias. It is because we're not committed to the rule of law. If we were committed to the rule of law, we would be able to say whether it's a man or a woman, what you bring to the table is how we will respond. But we do not respond on that level. And the last caller, well, the caller before, the two callers ago, he spoke really based on his own bias. And I said earlier, we put laws in place, but we ask the minister to have the discretion. And in a case where the minister is a male and he have the discretion on matters of female, he may determine to do what he wants. And so that is why when the rule of law is imposed, and it is the holy grail of any democracy, we will get matters done by justice, fair play, and people will get what they deserve because they bring it to the table. We can't pay a female engineer $29,000 and pay the male engineer $43,000, and they have the same degree. They have the same degree or the same experience. We must apply the rule of law, and I continue to say that, and I will not respond on many of these issues in the society just on emotion, but on the fact that the rule of law has to be paramount if we are going to get justice in the society and apply it across the board so that people get civil rights and human rights, which is natural.
That is very true, Ms.
Very
Ali,
good point.
because it's the rule of law. Now, for me, I want to go a little deeper because those persons now who are creating the laws are who? Mostly men. Usually the women are not at the table. So those laws do not encompass what women, I believe, have to bring to the table. Because if we have all these men making these laws, of course, and the law is rule, they can make laws, and we, the women, are there represent to give our input as to what affects us, affects our children, affects our homes. How is it that these laws now are put in place without our input? So I do agree with that. Now, how do we get to the table so that we can inject what we need to have full representation? You see, sometimes, and I want to go to my callers, sometimes when we are speaking for the strength of women, the representation of women, the inclusion of women, we can be labeled as feminists. That is not the intention. That is not our attitude. The attitude is just to have fair representation at the table. We want to be there when you're making the laws. We want to be there to let you know that this is what needs to be included. This affects our children. This affects our home. This affects our finances. How do we now get to that point where the table has a space for us to be included in this? That's all we're saying. It's not a matter of taking over or letting you know that we are better. That is not the case. I do believe that if I'm better for the job, then I should be the one chosen. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen. And today, even as we speak about Women's International Day, we speak, for me, I must mention Mia Motley. I mean, this lady is incredible. You know, so many times people say what type of governments we should have. We should have a republic. We should have a democratic. It's not about the type of party we should have or the type of political system we should have. It's the mindset of our leaders leading our country. And this woman has proven herself. She's qualified. But what she has most of all that I respect as a woman is she has a mind for her people. That right there, a mind for her people. She has done what many men in her position is afraid to do. This woman has stepped out and totally said, I am going to make a move and I am going to depend on our people to take us out of this. Now, you will never have 100%, on board. There's always going to be the pessimist, someone who is going to think that it shouldn't be done or not be done. But when are we here in the Bahamas? When are we going to be willing to step out of this same two-party that we were talking about, this two-party system, and take this country to another level if we know that is what is holding us back? To step out, to say that she will be independent of Britain, not easy, but who will do it? A woman. And we look at us as a woman and we say, oh, I don't think she could do it. But here is a woman who has proven that she can do it. And her people is moving with her. They're encouraged. They're excited about this new move because it's never been done before. And as Michelle, we were talking the last time when I told you said, how did you get here and running in this position? You've never done something like that before to run in politics. This is the challenge that we have to give ourselves as women, especially to go outside of the box that they have held us in. Step out of that, push and fight your way out of that to create a new special place that we know that we are able to do. This is the challenge for us women. Every year we're back here, but next year we have to say there will be a difference.
All right, we're going to talk about what we need to do to make that happen. We were supposed to talk about it in this last segment, but it didn't happen.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about it in this final segment about what we can do to break this bias once and for all. But we have to take our final break of the show. And then on the other side, let's talk about solutions. Because I tired of talking this. I tired. It's time for us to fix this problem once and for all. My God, it's 2022. My God, let's take this break and we'll be back after these words. Stay with us.
Bias is a wall. Every word is a brick. Saliva is cement hardening the way that we think about gender or a group of people. A wall that separates us from the fact that we are all equal. An empowered girl is a hurricane that can paint the world in sunsets. Bias is a wall that tries to stop her, but her hurricane isn't done yet. An empowered girl can lead the world into change, and she can guide us into a place that's new. This is a poem to you. Let's break the bias. Bias is a wall that justifies someone laying their hands on their partner. When a woman wears bruises around her neck like perfume, it doesn't start with a fist. It starts with an idea that we hold or assume. Ideas like, women don't deserve to be in a presidential seat, but when a baby is born, a woman is the first leader that they meet. Or a woman shouldn't get the job simply because of a name on a resume. Or talking over a little girl because you don't see value in what she has to say. Or that women of color are aggressive. When I think we're just strong. And it is our strength that has the power to transform a scream into a song. An empowered girl is a lit matchstick that can burn into a fire. We need to knock down this wall so she can climb onto the rubble and stand higher. Let's break the bias. We can break the bias by knocking it down brick by brick. We can start by diversifying the friends that we pick. We can become conscious of our bias. Conscious of the way that we treat people because of their age, education, or gender. It is through being conscious that a timber heart can become tender. We can remember that being biased doesn't make you a bad person. You can knock down a wall and turn it into stairs. It is through having the courage to confront your prejudice that you can show the world that you care. The future is calling on you to shape it. Will you be there? Let's break the bias.
I thought that was so beautifully said. Today is International Women's Day, and we're talking to two incredible women, Fontella, Chipman, Rolle, and McIntosh, about breaking the bias. And I want to spend the last couple minutes of this show, ladies, talking about how do we break that bias? What are some of the steps that we can take now to try to put a dent into this problem?
If I may, Michelle, and I was just trying to maintain myself in the last segment. I want to respond on this, but I do believe that this is a solution. We have to understand how men lead and how women lead, and that goes throughout the entire spectrum of how we operate to a great degree. And that's why you will get different things from men leaders versus women leaders. People don't understand that both Republicans and Democrats, or what we call liberals and conservatives, think different because they are made up different. It's the same way that women are made up different. And I want to encourage people to get a hold of my ebook I just released yesterday for International Women's Day, Women's Month. A free copy of my book. That's just the first 5 chapters. People want to get that. They want to get the whole book, but I thought I would make a gift to the Bahamian people and give the book, because when we think about these issues and how to reconstruct a nation, all the mindsets that we're talking about now needs to be confronted in terms of how do we change. Let me give you this one thing and I'll stop. Men, this is a revelation I had when I was finishing off the book, and I never thought, as the many years that I have spoken and pushed for women's empowerment, equal amount of seats to the table, this is the revelation I got. Men governed by power and women by order. And when we think what power is, it means the ability to do. So if people govern or lead only by doing what they think they can do, it's going to be different from a woman's perspective, which is by order, which is the state in which everything is correct and appropriately placed. So in the general scope of things, you get two different responses from how women and men lead and how we govern, even in corporate governance. And so people have to admit that. We started at the top of the show. When people are prepared to admit that there is a bias, there is a difference, and appreciate what we both bring to the table, we will be able to see changes in the nation and be able to do things in a different way than we're doing it even now.
Ali? I'm sorry, not Ali. Fontella?
You know, Ali, I mentioned Mia Motley, but I want to say thank you to you, Ms. Ali McIntosh, for everything you have done, the barriers you have broken, even without being realized, the impact that you have stood for all these years, people are not aware of. And I myself, just knowing you recently between the political arena, understanding what it is and how long you have been in the trenches. I want to say thank you for your service and your commitment to changing this country to where you think it should be, a better place for Bahamian women, children, a better country. So I want to say thank you for that. I pray, God, that your book is successful and every one of us out there go and get a copy, because we want to support our Bahamian people. We want to support each other, women to women. We want to support each other. We want to shift that narrative that we don't support. So Ms. McIntosh, I want to give God thanks for you and continue doing what you're doing, because if we stop here, nothing will change. So I want to give God thanks for you. Just, I don't want to forget that.
Thank you for your compliment.
As we
I really appreciate
move
it.
on,
God be the glory.
God bless you. I am, Michelle, what I have
talking about
thought
solutions.
about is in terms of solution. You think and you're wondering, what is it can you do? What will have the most impact? How it will touch the younger people? What is it? Because our young people are so we're so all over the place. So many things have their interests. So many things have their time. What can we use to actually get across to our young people? Because, sometimes they say you can't teach old dogs new tricks. So my solution, like I have asked my assistant to type a letter to all of the schools around this country. I am willing to go and speak to every school in this nation if I have to. And I'm talking all the way down to the kindergartens. I think they're the only ones I don't know how to reach. But we have to find a way, especially as women, to encourage and empower our children. That negative words, watch what we say, watch how we say it, and everyone, each one, encourage one, empower one. If you're a woman, any girl that you come in contact with, tell her how beautiful she looks. Tell her how she is smart. That beautiful, usually we think that's the first thing people say and that's all they look for. But tell her how she's a brilliant girl. Tell her what it is she can become. Tell her there is no limits. If she can believe it, she can achieve it. So I believe that it has to do in our communication, because we too are unconditioning ourselves from what we have learned. So now we have to try to see how we consciously make that effort in our communication. I remember asking God, I said, God, please help me on this certain issue. And every time I'll say that to myself. And I found out that every time I went to say or do that particular thing, something would come in my consciousness. And I said, God, I thank you for reminding me. And I step back. So ask God to help us. He's our only source when it comes to things like this, especially when we're having the battle of our minds. So we too, as adults, are unconditioning ourselves from these things that we have learned of old, or maybe been taught to by our own parents. So now we have to transfer this. And what is it we're transferring? Only what we know. So we have to ask God, help us, give us the words to say to our children, to empower a nation, to reach out to a people that sees him, to see his truth, that they will be able to believe that within us, God lives within us, and we can do all things. So we have to start with our communication with each other, our belief in each other. That's what we need to start with. That's one solution. Now, Michelle, we got to keep thinking about more. But our first thing is our communication, those words that come out our mouths. And I'm working on that every day.
A lot of this does begin in the home. And I'm not just giving my opinion. I'm talking about the research that has been done into this. And I will tell you, according to the research, this is formed very early in life. These attitudes are formed. These biases are formed very early in life. And here's what the research found, that when it comes to gender, we fixate on women's reproductive functioning. And we sort of a lot of competence to men. So in other words, early on in life, we learn that it is the female's role to have babies. Get married, find yourself a good husband who can take care of you, and you have lots of babies. Whether or not we realize that our society still today, subconsciously in many ways, sends that message that no matter how accomplished you are as a woman, you are not fulfilled unless you are married. I'm telling you, as a single woman, you get that all the time. So we have to change the narrative. We have to not only allot competence to males, because females can be and are competent too. And I don't believe, I think that we need to understand that we as females should not be required to diminish our shine so that someone else can shine. There's enough room for all of us to shine together. I should not have to diminish who I am to make you as a man feel like a man. And this is the society in which we live, where many accomplished women are diminishing who they are just to be in a relationship, just to have what society tells them they should aspire to have as it relates to the family, etc. And I am not against traditional family values. Like Ali said, if it comes up and you get married, praise the Lord, hallelujah. Go ahead, Ali. You wanted to say something.
But it is interesting because we talk about that, and I am so empowered by people referring to Mia Mottley in regards to her ascension to the leadership of a country. I hope that they understand Mia Mottley is not married. She's a single woman. I'm not sure of what about her, but I know she's single, and she is not married. She speaks always about her parents. So are we saying because if a woman is not married, she cannot run a country? Because that's what we're saying. I'm not married either at this point. It's not that I don't want to be married, but I'm not married. And the point that I've been encouraged by strong women like my mother, Pastor Dr. Jane White, who always encouraged me to keep going. And I'm sure for Mia Mottley, her parents keep encouraging her. That don't stop because you're not married. Keep going. That's how she made the achievement. And we must encourage our girls that they have to have personal actualization. That even if they don't have a spouse, to affirm them that they should be affirmed in their gift that God has put in them. And so when we say that, for a lot of men who have a problem with me pursuing leadership in the country, you're proud of Mia Mottley, but we are the same place, the same age, the same status in terms of a marital status. So we cannot be dishonest. It's intellectually dishonest when you expect to bring these matters afore, but you want to put it for one person and not the other. So I've spoken all of these years about the rule of law because we can only get justice for all, human rights for all, when we apply the rule of law and make sure our girls can get the same thing our boys do. Because if you would rather vote a dumb man in rather than a smart woman, clearly something is wrong with you. Sorry, that was a little preach there, but
yes, and, like I was saying, also, I agree with you, Miss Ali. And I could be over here, and you could be over there teaching and preaching these things. And like I was telling Michelle, but we can't have someone on the other side, holding on to those old traditional ideas of where a woman place is. So we have to really be intentional about being in this together. We have to understand that to teach the lesson and to stop the confusion, we all have to be on one page. So we have to understand that first, acknowledge, just like Michelle said, acknowledge that this is a great bias in our country. Acknowledge that it's happening at every level, from our primary schools right up to college, tertiary education. It's there. We have to acknowledge it. Now, how we move forward with that, we have to be on one accord, because our children cannot be confused. They have to know that they can do all things, and they have to understand that it has nothing to do with their gender. It has nothing to do with whether they're married, they have children or not. They can be whatever it is that God has given them the gift to be. And so we have to be intentional about how we move forward with our communication, how we move forward and complete the narrative that will help and to empower them and push them to where they need to be.
I just want to say this, and I think it's important to understand, and it's important for this to be said. We are not, if you have a boy and a girl child in your home, encourage them both.
Yeah.
Uplift them both. We are not saying that you should only focus on the girl. That's not what we're saying. No. Because our boys need to be encouraged as well. Our boys need to be validated as well. They need to be uplifted as well. But don't do so with one and not the other because of a hidden unconscious bias. That's all we're saying here today. I think it's important for us to make that point.
Yes.
Because somebody listening to this show may think that we're only pushing for females, women, girls to be validated. That's not what we are saying. We're saying validate them both.
Yes.
They both have equal worth. We are here not to compete with each other, but to complete each other. And once we understand that, then I think that we would have a far better chance of fixing this problem once and for all. So I just wanted to make that very, very clear. Yes. Ladies, let's. I'm going to give you each a minute to give us your final thoughts, because I have one more video I want to play and then talk about that video. So let's wrap up this part of the conversation. Fontella, let's start with you.
Well, today I want to acknowledge the fact that what Michelle just said, it's not about whether we are pushing our women ahead or we are promoting our women. When we look at what is happening in our country and with our young people, we understand that both our young men and women need to be empowered, need to be validated, need to be encouraged, need to be directed. So we have to be intentional about our communication with our young people. And no matter what it is, we have to understand that we were once there. And sometimes I myself, even dealing with young people, frustrated because of the decisions that you see them making when you know that you're there trying to help them and direct them. But we, as I did, have to understand that we're coming from a far place. And in that place, we have to continue to push and empower. We have to remember that this is not going to happen in a day. Nothing is going to change in a month, maybe not a year. I told someone we're looking at a generation.
Yeah.
It's like we have missed the gap, a whole generation now. But what do we do? Do we allow it to go on, or do we make that start now? Do we say, oh, okay, that generation is gone, but I got to start because I'm looking 20, 30 years down the road. We're going to be in a new place. We're going to be in a different place. So with that, even though it's International Women's Day, we want to say today, International, for me, Young People Day. Go back and how we communicate with our young people, encourage them, empower them, tell them what they can do. And when they've made the mistakes, let us be mindful on how we react to that, because all of that is, all of that has a bearing on how things turn out.
Okay, let's get Ali in here because I got to play my last video. Ali, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, Michelle. What you said, we agree with that. All children must be validated, both boys and girls. I myself, of course, have adopted 2 boys. They're now grown. I have mentored many young men. I have many preachers, friends, colleagues who I have encouraged because of the fact that when we look at how men and women govern, some men determined to destroy other men, but sometimes it takes women to save them from going into the kind of situation or being destroyed. And so our role as women must be a powerful role to save the generation in the front of us. And that is what I want to do. What I've done in standing, as Fontella said, is not just for myself, but how do we commit to the next generation? It has always been my motto. Committed to the next generation. Please check the ebook out. It's a free book. And order your book on my website, How to Reconstruct a Nation. It has many answers in terms of the problem we're talking about.
I want to thank you both. We could talk forever, but I got to get this last video. And thank you, ladies, both for being here today. Appreciate you. Now, next week, Wednesday, is going to be a big day in Bahamian history. That is the day. I am prophesying, not prophesying. Prophesying. That is the day that Sienna Evans, by the grace of God,
hallelujah,
will become the first Bahamian woman to win the Miss World pageant. Check this out.
It's the weekend, and we be getting down tonight. Come on, girls, and my sisters, get right. Get your high heels on and your little black dress, cause you're gonna impress tonight. We only drink champagne, that's right. No beer around here tonight, cause it's a high-class joint, and we're gonna reach boiling point in here tonight. Be coming through, hanging with my crew. What you wanna do? Sexy ladies, give it to me. We ain't here for you, hanging with my crew. What you gonna do? Sexy ladies, work it, baby. All my girls in the club, if I feel like work it out. Do you think shake it up? Pop it till you can't stop. Move right, groove tight, and feel anything tonight. Getting hot, doing shots, we gon' set this party out.
Right, so we are trying to get sufficient sponsorship to take GPS on the road. We want to do our show from Puerto Rico all of next week. Clearly, that's going to cost us money. We got to get the airfare, we got to get the hotel, etc. So if you own a business or if you provide a service, give us a call, 326-0271, 326-0272, or 805-6430. Let us know you want to be a part of that broadcast, and we promise you it's going to be an historic moment for this country when our girl brings home this crown by the grace of God. So we need your support. Give us a call so we can take the show on the road and be a part of this historic event. Time is gone. 4 o'clock. I got to get out of here. Thank you so much to Fontella, Chipman, Rolle, and Ali McIntosh, and all of you who participated in the show, whether listening by radio or Facebook. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Have a good one. Tomorrow, continuation of the show on obesity. That's part 2 of obesity on our Wellness Wednesday show. Take care, everybody.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network